Well, well, well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 39 of the What the Sheep podcast, where we will be discussing and breaking down and genuinely freaking out over Critical Role Campaign 2 episode 129. It feels like every time we have a new episode and I have to say, like, the Critical Role episode title, it trips me up every time how many episodes we are actually into this campaign. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it just keeps going too at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what?
Down.
No end in sight. No end in sight.
Yeah.
And yes, as Adam has said, it is also their 6th anniversary.
Yeah.
Of
Oh
Critical
man,
Role.
I was talking about that yesterday to my mum about. Oh yeah, they've just celebrated their 6th anniversary. Like the 5th one felt like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was episode 99. Just
Mm-hmm.
before the dragon turtle, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Because I think we're coming up on almost a year since they went on their their really long
Yeah.
break because of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Oh gosh, that means in a few months we're going to be coming up on a whole year where they haven't been at the table live.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
It is. Yeah.
I want them to be back.
Yeah, so much. I'm just loving chat at the moment. Jacob in chat has not seen the episode yet, and everyone's being so kind with their not spoilers, but also their like just teasing Jacob a little bit with the wait,
so
who died?
there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers in this podcast.
Yes, 100%.
So if you haven't seen the episode and you don't want to be spoiled, I am letting you know now that we will be talking about who died.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm just delaying the inevitable this episode. Oh boy. But we'll start on a more lighthearted, part of this episode, and that was Team Happy Fun Ball and all of the shenanigans they got up to inside Halas's Archmage's Bane.
Isn't that weird when the lighthearted part of the episode is a team going into the Happy Fun Ball?
Right.
Like, that place is ridiculous.
Is no good. It is bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news bears. And it was funny because I feel like, at least for me personally, last week when we were kind of talking about Team Happy Fun Ball, I wasn't worried at all. I was like, oh yeah, they'll be in and out. It'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
And then it's like when they're in that first chamber, already struggling with the first door, I was like, oh no. Is the whole episode going to be them trying to get out?
Man. I think we assumed they were going to like bamf into the study.
Yeah.
Forgetting that they had to go through the tapestry room. But yeah, I was getting like actually nervous because they weren't getting through it. And then once the lockpick broke, I was just like, oh, they might have to go another way. This might take a really long time. And yeah, as Matthew in chat says, it's doors. It's always doors.
The doors all over again. But then that also, I was also worried because I was like, oh yeah, what if they have to go another way and it takes even longer? Because then I'm realizing, like, wait, like every hour here is about a day outside, so they are killing a lot of time here. A lot of time.
But no, it was great. It was lighthearted because it was, even though it was stressful and there was a potential of them getting stuck for a little bit, it was still really kind of fun. Those 3 characters together, like they play off each other so well. I loved Yasha's inspiration for Bo. Like inspiration. I don't actually have anything.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad.
It was sweet.
And frickin' the chamber being filled with fire, and then being like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had that ring of fire resistance?
It's my favorite thing. It's so good. It's got the best, like, anytime it's I don't know what to compare it to, but it's anytime it's brought up now, it lands so perfectly. As a joke, just because it is such
it's so perfect. It's so perfect. And just that it's mostly Travis's reaction every time that it's brought up is what makes it so good.
the strongest sense of buyer's remorse, but it's like it's beyond remorse at this point. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's
It's just it's become a part of his identity now at this point.
yeah,
It's who Travis is. This is Travis's legacy now, moving
yeah,
forward. Buying this room. But, eventually they do get this door open and they
yes. So cool.
unfortunately sever the connection
So
between
cool.
the two rooms.
That's such a cool like mechanic that brought in.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that like yeah, if you actually break the doorway, the tether's broken. I didn't think I could be as stressed as when that happened.
I also
But I found out
didn't.
later in the episode I could be
Yeah,
way more stressed. But
true,
that was scary. The
true.
thought of like falling between the rooms in the Happy Fumble. What would that even
Yeah,
look like?
I
Um,
probably just as he described it, it's just like a void. It's
Void.
nothingness.
Ugh.
Yeah, don't like the what kind of creatures maybe dwell within a void.
Oh God.
That huh.
Yeah.
Well, luckily we don't have
Never
to
mind.
we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to. There are more pressing things that
Yeah.
we have to worry about. But it is interesting that just ripping a door off its hinges is enough to sever ties between
Yeah.
rooms.
And that's their main entryway too. So
Yep,
if they want to go back, they're going to have to explore some other avenues,
they're gonna
which is
they'll take the long way
exciting.
around.
Yep.
Definitely be interesting. And I should have I should have known because Ford is with this group that it wouldn't
Mm.
just be all right, let's go from point A to point B because Ford is all about
Exploration.
seeing what's what and
Mm. I love watching Laura in that scene. Once they do get to the library and they're talking about the books, Laura, that scene, she's just like,
yeah,
go, like, just
yeah,
go. And they're like, oh, we'll all go look at a book each. And she's so
yeah.
frustrated. It's so funny to watch. I don't know how she was feeling. She looked so frustrated.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she's like, no, go. Which
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those
But
things where it's
justification.
like it's such an innocent thing. It's like, oh, let's just look at these books. And I was here for it. I was stressed, but I thought it was hilarious that they wanted to take the
Yeah.
time to do that. But at the same time, they're also, seconds are minutes and
Yeah.
hours outside. So it's just like, okay, all right, take a
I'm
look at
like,
the books and let's go.
they brought up too, like, well, Yusa's been through here. If Yusa didn't
Yep,
take these books, either they're going to be worthless or there's going to be something
yep.
about them that's like not safe to take.
Nope.
Um, yeah,
Ah,
Yusa left the books for a reason. Exactly, Lucas.
yeah, yep. But hey,
Oh my gosh.
no one said they had high wisdom. I mean Bo obviously has stellar wisdom, but I
Yeah,
think both Yasha and Ford are both lacking in the wisdom
yeah.
department.
I really enjoyed them talking about Caleb back in the first room when they're
Mm-hmm.
all saying like like Bo's like he sent me in here like gosh I'll go in Bo and they're like
Oh yeah.
well let's just think like Caleb it's all the fire in this room.
Yep.
um yeah that was really fun but no that's it's almost too perfect. Three books in
Yep.
the room, three characters in the
Mm-hmm.
room. Matt knows
Matt,
exactly
he
what
know
he's
he
doing.
knows he knows he knows what kind of players they are too.
Yeah.
Did we encounter one of those golems before?
No.
Because we
No.
encountered like the more mechanical
Yeah.
arcane golems, not whatever
Yeah,
that
and then
was.
the magical golems, and yeah, so this was just like a clay golem. Uh,
Yeah,
Presumably, it was
yeah,
just a basic clay golem, um, which is yeah, which is like Halas is a creep.
yeah,
Like he's just got
yeah. He's
golems
a
trapped
weirdo.
behind bookshelves.
He's a
It
weirdie.
makes
Yeah,
sense. Super wizardy, but like, damn, dude, chill.
yeah, yeah. Calm down, Alaz. All right, it's just you here. You don't got to do all this stuff.
Yeah. But I do love that as it's just as it reveals itself, they're like, all right, that's it, we're out, let's go.
Yeah.
We don't have time to fight this thing.
Yeah. We might have overstepped our bounds here.
Yeah.
Should have,
Um,
listened to our
I
intuition.
I really appreciate Travis in this scene constantly saying, like, "Has anything changed?" That's like a smart thing. I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that, of potentially aspects of the room could have changed, or even the stained glass window.
Hmm.
Because could you imagine if they just go up and press a thing and it had changed? I don't think Matt would be that
Oh,
cruel. I think he might have like
yeah.
encouraged them. But could you imagine if they just went up to a totally random room and or
Oh,
like, oh yeah,
that would have been. I think he didn't want to detour them too
no,
much, but I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what if that red like gem in the window isn't there anymore?
yeah,
What if they have to
no,
just totally
concerning,
figure
very
something else
concerning.
out? But luckily, it was there. They were able
It
to
was there.
safely travel into that other little pocket dimension. I didn't
Yeah,
think the golem was gonna chase them. I thought they were
that
home
was
free.
yeah, that was a nice touch. When he like talked about the shattering glass, I was like, "What's that?" Oh,
Yeah.
oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not out of
Um,
this yet.
that room is now the room of like disappointment and surprise. Because like the
Yeah.
first time they went in there, there was a blue dragon. Now this time they're being chased by a golem. It's a fun room.
It's yeah. Yep. But I can't say Ford was having too much fun as
Same,
Oh,
same.
Ford. Oh, Ford slamming his head again against
I
against the
yeah.
gem without having armor this on. Oh,
Poor
classic Ford
Ford.
move.
That was yeah, that was very funny. Matt, yeah, Matt, that's a champ though. He didn't give him any damage or anything. He was
No,
just
it
being
was just
trouble.
hilarious. I like how he played it off as like, no, I had to do it. This one needs
Blood
blood
magic. Yeah.
magic. I had to trying to save
Yeah.
face, but Bo with her incredible insight, she's like, yeah, all right, okay, Ford, sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally meant to do that, yeah,
It's good.
Garth,
It's just a lot of fun. I'm surprised that like the golem could be stunned. Like I know they can't be
yeah,
transformed or anything like that, but I guess so. I guess they can be stunned. But that was handy. Yeah, I think.
and I feel like they were probably gonna be fine if they didn't stun it, but then I mean, then again,
If
we
they
don't we don't really know what it was capable of.
Yeah, I think the fact that these three were pretty well set up in terms of their abilities and their spells and their health, it would
Hmm.
have been fine had they had to fight it. I think they could have easily taken it on. It would
Yeah,
have just been time. The time consumption would have been the
yep,
tricky thing, um, which is what the major concern was.
yeah,
Like they needed to get out of there.
hmm,
But yeah, those three could take on a clay golem. I think that'd be no problem at all, um, unless it was a weird homebrew clay golem.
yeah, yeah, that would have been. Do we know? I think Lucas may have typed in chat. Do we know how long they were actually in Happy Fun Ball? Well, I think
It's
Lucas may
not
have
exact.
said.
I think it's like if we look at how long the other team were around, they were there for like a long rest and
Hmm.
probably like half an hour at the start and maybe a little bit after the long rest. So probably like 9 hours, 10 hours maybe in regular time.
Yeah.
So whatever that translates to,
23
we
minutes roughly,
we don't know.
says Lucas.
So yeah,
That's probably a good estimate.
yeah,
Oh, but luckily with the stun, they are able to
yeah.
immediately exit the Happy Fun Ball in just around was it like an hour-ish of like actual of like game time. I think around
Yeah,
that
I think
episode,
so.
I was like, oh wow, all right, this
I think
wasn't
so.
this wasn't too bad. Ended up
Yeah.
not being too terrible.
This is interesting too because it was about an hour, but then we go to Team Plane Shift. Um,
Yep.
and this is another example because last episode, especially as well, Team Outie, they didn't have a ton to do. Um,
Hmm.
and the previous episode too, correct me if I'm wrong, the previous episode was the one that ended with the no. We had like, for example, I forgot there was an episode in between there because we had the sanatorium episode and Team
Yeah.
Outie. They didn't have much to do. Most recent episode there was a lot more. I forgot about the most recent episode
Hmm.
and then last night's episode. But it's another thing we've talked about before about how players take a back seat and let other players play the
Yeah.
game. Especially for like Yasha and Travis, that's been like big for the past couple episodes. They've been like, a little bit in the background,
Oh, that's
which takes a
true.
lot as a player.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they were mentioning at the end of the episode. Like, we need to give Travis an episode. Like,
his
this is Travis
whole
episode.
his whole episode,
Yeah.
a 3-hour shopping episode just for
Yeah.
Travis. It's true.
Yeah.
I actually didn't think about that because Ford and Yasha and Bo, but Bo kind of had stuff to do in the
Yeah.
sanatorium episode.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Ford and
They
Yasha
did do
have been
stuff in
pretty.
Nicodranas, like
That's
Ford was
true.
a busboy, and like he
Yes.
spoke to Astrid and Adelwolf. But yeah, I find it interesting, and I think it's really, again, we've said it before, but it talks to their strengths as D&D players, that they can kind of do take a step back and let the story unfold for other people. I'm excited that now they're kind of back together, hopefully, for next episode, and
Yeah.
you know, getting stuff done
Hopefully.
together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they arrive in, because I didn't know what to expect. I assumed that it was probably going to be the Plane of Fire, which we later got confirmation that it was pretty much. And so when I was expecting them to just plop in at some like random location in the Plane of Fire, but then when he described that it was kind of like a study in a way, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
We talked about it, and I think we said, like, we think it's probably the Plane of Fire. But we were thinking, like, oh, they could go to City of Brass, like they could go see all these people. They might what if they're near the Ashari portal? Like, that'd be really cool. So this was a fun surprise that they went into like a place where someone had actually set up something, and it's always good. I love it when they go to arcane studies and there's books and journals to read.
Yeah, it gives us a nice, little tidbit of lore, or maybe more backstory on whoever this belongs to.
Yes.
And we did find out who it belongs to.
Yes, we were right. It wasn't that hard to guess.
But Plane Rider Rin. That is a cool name.
Yeah.
Cool name, cool title.
It's really cool. And I do want to talk about their stuff a bit later. Because I was telling you before, I'm like, I'm rewatching that entire scene of what they were saying in their journal.
Was that whole sequence of like reading the journal, was that before or after the fight?
Jester started reading it.
It was like a
the
little
stuff that we got was after.
Okay, so we can get into that. Oh, after the stress.
After nothing happened. That's fun.
Oh yeah. No. They showed up here, they rested, and then they teleported out. They got the heck out of there. But it was being here, and Matt describing the setting and stuff, and the uncomfortable nature of this plane. The heat, lava and stuff, and the dark tunnel that descends, that leads to the outside of the cave. Beth doing her exploring. It definitely, we were already pretty uneasy, because most of the party is tapped, but it felt even more so because I was like, okay, so far this is going a little too well.
It felt very calm. Yeah,
this is a little too calm for my liking. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, someone's gonna come home, someone's gonna be pissed off, they're gonna set off a trap, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And of course we had the best detective agency, Jester and Veth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Hanging out outside.
One, I love that conversation they had because it's so kind of hopeful and cheerful, and I feel completely irrelevant now, unfortunately. Like, it feels like it's that future might not be open for Veth anymore. But I feel like I saw a lot of kind of I'll say discourse is probably the word to use it, about how, like, Jester and Veth, they did so well. They did really good stealth checks. They did really good perception checks to see if anything was moving, and then they were still blindsided by this elemental. I'd love to see what Matt says about it, but the biggest thing I saw was a lot of people suggesting, there might have been like a trigger, a trap they didn't necessarily see, or like if someone just appears in the sanctum, it might trigger this creature to enter. I don't think that was like, because that kind of sucks if like you stealth really well and you're being super careful and you feel safe to then be blindsided by something. But I feel like, again, Matt's not the type of DM to completely blindside his players or say like, no, your roles are irrelevant here. Which I thought was interesting because that thing scared the hell out of me. Like when it appeared and he's just talking, Sam's face that entire time was my face. Just like, oh,
yeah,
like,
that was really good.
What?
Because it's like who or what is talking right now? Like what crazy?
Don't like the raspy voice. That's probably not good.
Yeah. But Matt did say that their conversation was getting loud, like as they were talking. So I guess that's kind of why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh god, what did they disturb? Did they disturb like a fire giant or whatever? And what did it end up being? Did it just end up being like a fire elemental?
I think it was just like a larger fire elemental. I don't think it was. It wasn't like. I tried to look. I couldn't find anything that kind of matched it. I think it's homebrew, some kind of guardian elemental, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
That's a really cool concept.
Cool. Al, thank you so much for the support. $2, thank you. Okay. Mercer's halfling backers Bernardo sauce. Oh my god, you did not. You did not say that.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Oh, wow.
Oh no.
But yeah, that thing was terrifying.
That was.
I'm curious because it's one of my favorite bits of Caleb being interrupted while he's casting a ritual spell, and he's like, I dropped it. I need to start again. I'm wondering, like, if he hadn't done that bit, if the dome would have been up in time.
Oh. Yeah.
Before the creature. This is what ifs, which we don't do on this podcast.
Yeah.
But, like what if?
Yeah, it probably would have played out so differently. Same with when Jester and Beth gave chase to it, and Jester tried to modify memory, but then it working, but then retconning because it had advantage. Oh, yeah. Only that would have been so interesting.
Yeah, that was gonna be like, I was like, oh my god, is she coming with like another clutch modify memory?
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen the conversation between the creature and them if they had calmed it, but I do like the idea that it was just this almost unreasonable force of nature that was doing a job.
Yeah. I'm wondering though if maybe they could have talked to it. I mean, probably not, because it seemed very automated. Like it seemed like it had a very, particular task to do, whether it was enchanted or bribed or whatever. Yeah. It seemed that it was going to cleanse the sanctum no matter what.
Yeah.
So diplomacy probably not gonna work.
But no, that thing was terrifying. It was really cool. The idea of it kind of crawling down the mountain, I got really strong like Moana vibes of like
the
lava goddess in that. That was really cool. But man,
and
so good.
The fight started off okay. I was worried that any fight would break out because again the party is pretty tapped, but they were doing fine-ish. I mean, it had some pretty hefty swipes against Caleb, and it would have been fine had it not done, that thing.
Because they had pretty much a fully prepared cleric. He'd used a few spells.
Yeah.
They had a rogue who's okay. Yep. Like the rogue doesn't necessarily need that sort of stuff. Their other cleric was completely tapped, and their wizard was their fire wizard was completely tapped.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was going kind of okay, but yeah, the complications of having NPCs that can't fight, it was devastating.
I saw a post on Twitter. It was like, in regards to everything that happened, it was like, why in D&D do player characters always are they always orphans? Like why don't they have any parents? It's like, this is why. This is why we don't have any family, because now we have to make sure that they are safe in times like these so that they don't die. But
Yeah,
it adds
yeah.
it adds a whole layer of, you know, intensity to the situation that probably wouldn't have been there. It definitely wouldn't have been there
Oh yeah.
if the family wasn't there. It would just be like, oh God, I hope no one in the party dies. But now it's like, okay, screw the party. We got to make sure that the family doesn't
Yeah,
die
with their
here.
like 1 HP, like
Yeah, yeah.
likely very low HP if they're just using
Mm-hmm.
commoner stats. Um,
Not not
ooh.
good.
So yeah, holy crap.
But it
Uh,
was someone else on Twitter. I keep forgetting to like grab these Twitter handles, but they were saying how despite Caleb being fully tapped and on the verge of going unconscious, he
mm,
still put himself between
yeah,
this creature and the family members,
yeah,
knowing that they had to do whatever it took to make sure that they were okay.
yeah. Um, it's that sense of duty, I guess, that he felt, or the responsibility for the
Hmm.
situation that he was feeling. Um, but yeah, he still managed to like be a strong asset in the fight,
Yeah.
Caleb, being completely tapped, being knocked down at least once as well. Like the slow was really good.
Hmm.
The cone of cold definitely would have taken off a
Yeah.
fair chunk of damage. Um, but no, there was not much you could do when it did such a huge like area of effect spell. That
Oh, I
was a
know.
massive spell. And what was it like? Was it like 39 points of damage or something like
Yeah.
that, or 31
That
points of
is
like that's a that's a meaty fireball.
that
Like,
is
um,
that was ridiculous.
yeah,
And
yeah,
same with
yeah.
same when Jester failed jumping through the lava, almost taking max damage on that lava stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
that was that was not good. But Jeff in chat
Um,
saying Caleb knows what it's like to lose a family to fire. That is
hmm,
why he definitely had to make sure
yeah.
that his new family didn't succumb to that.
And yeah, and we've got to talk about Caduceus because Caduceus was the MVP of
Oh,
this, and not just
100%.
because of his clerical duties towards the
Mm-hmm.
end, because that's almost like a default, but like he did so well in this fight in terms of uh, maintaining control, maintaining focus of
Mm-hmm.
some of the creatures, doing decent amount of damage, the
Yeah.
mass cure wounds, like Caduceus is such a team player. Not
Yeah.
suggesting anyone else isn't, but Caduceus is such a team player. Um, Even before the fight, his kind of bonding with Luke was gorgeous. Like
Oh,
you
that
get
was
that
such
real
a good
like
moment.
you get the sense that yeah, this is someone that grew up with a large family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was just so sweet. And yeah, I love Caduceus so much, and I feel like I'm when I play D&D, when I play as a player, and especially if I'm playing a spellcaster, I'm very much like Taliesin of I freak out so much about what spells I'm going to use, or like I get really kind of nervous in combat situations because
Mm-hmm.
like I don't want anyone to die. I love these characters, and
Yeah.
I felt like Taliesin was really feeling it last night, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh,
Yeah, you could definitely
it was
tell
so
he was a bit stressed.
yeah,
Um, but it was definitely nice to have that Caduceus and Luke moment. Caduceus sort of, you know, being that cool uncle
yeah,
in that
yeah, it was
moment.
really sweet. Um, but man. Um, oh man, yeah. So something I want to address too because I've seen other people talk about this Twitter too.
Hmm.
Uh, when talking about character deaths, and
Yeah.
especially when we talk about character deaths, like and I wrote down what I wanted to say a bit like, but when at least when I talk about characters, and I feel like you're the same, Nika. When we talk
Hmm.
about character deaths, we know we're talking about fictional characters,
Yeah.
and like we know we're talking about, at least in this sense, characters that are played by adults and things like
Hmm.
that. Um, it's probably like 50-50 joking, 50-50 wanting it to happen a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Um, that being said, character death and NPC deaths are still a huge part of D&D.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I don't want people to think when they watch our show that we are like pining for
Oh,
halfling
yeah.
children to die.
No,
But that being
not
said,
at all.
and I understand that that's a difficult conversation for a lot of people. It's a difficult topic for a lot of people. And I've seen some really good conversation just recently about maybe the need for content warnings on Critical Role, which I think is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think that we're masochists, that we're like wanting these people to die just for the sake of it. No.
Yeah, no.
In terms of character depth, I think they're excellent for story progression. But I was crying last night.
Yeah, that was rough. As Olivia said, I screamed with Marion. Yeah. When Matt had said that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. But sadas, not masochist. My apologies for getting my term mixed up. But yeah, no, that was really rough. But it was a really good scene.
It was. It was devastatingly tragic, and especially Beth going into her rage shooting of these things. Yeah. It was awful, but it was such a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Too.
Because it's a hard thing with fiction, especially because this is a different type of fiction. Like, you can watch movies and you can read books and like characters die all the time and it's, you know, it's impactful. I feel like because this is such a long form of fiction, of narrative, and it's also one that you feel very connected with because of the role play aspect of it, it's almost a bit different when characters die. It definitely draws you in a lot more, but it's still fiction, it's still narrative, it's still a story that has beats and a story that has interesting moments, and character death can be interesting. Sounds like the wrong word in this scenario. I don't know. I'm terrible at explaining myself. I generally don't explain myself because I'm terrible at it. But yeah, that was really rough.
Yeah.
But good.
Yeah. And as I've said before, because I have school during the week, I typically can't watch the whole episode the night it airs. So I usually watch till the half, and then I'll watch the rest at school. And I had to watch the entire fight and the rest of the episode in class. And it was hard keeping the emotions in as everything was happening.
Nice brings up probably the funniest moment of the night. That damn Pusheen ad of like fight's over, Luke's down, it's super traumatic, it's super sad, and it fades away to break, and the fucking cat ad.
The first,
it was actually pretty good because it was a nice kind of like a huh.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's a show. It's a show.
That was the timing was pretty fucking funny on that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, Luke straight up died.
Yeah, and I think even without Marion screaming, I feel like we could probably all assume that was probably going to happen, because Luke's got to have 1 HP max, like 2 max.
Yeah, he might be somewhat maybe like a really low level rogue maybe, but he's a toddler. Like he's what, excuse me, 5 or 6 or something. No, it was bound to happen, and I think you could see, again, it's kind of like just praises for Matt tonight. You could see him doing the math, like not that there was much math to be done, but he was very much aware of what was happening and very careful, I think, with how he handled it.
You could definitely see him trying to work out how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like he was probably having the internal conflict of like, well, I really don't want to, have to, kill this character, but at the same time, it's like, how do I narratively make it make sense to where Luke didn't take any damage and he was perfectly fine?
Yeah.
It's kind of a difficult situation to...
It'd be like almost metagaming at that point. To not do it. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Sprinkle in the chat.
Sprinkle's fine. Yeah, Sprinkle's the Nonagon. Yeah.
Sprinkle's the Nonagon. Yeah, Sprinkle is Tharazdun. So it's all good.
Don't worry about Sprinkle. We've come to that conclusion. Sprinkle, A-okay. But I think Matt handled it very well, and I think again, I would never, wish death in this way, but it still led to a very powerful scene, and it really uh, enhanced Beth's story as well, and the
Mm,
things that she's been struggling with.
yeah, that's because we've talked a lot about her story and where it's going, and I feel like this was a bit of a shift this
Hmm.
episode. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Veth does, and I think, do we want to talk about that conversation with her and
Yeah,
Yeza, or
yeah, we
is there
can do
anything
that.
else?
We can sort of couple that
Oh,
in
there was a few
this.
little things before that, I suppose. Like, I mean, the fight itself was excellent because it was like natural 20s all
Yeah,
around. It was a good fight in terms of having multiple enemies be able to split off. We have Jester falling in lava.
yeah.
Um,
I think
but
I don't necessarily know the full mechanics of Beth's blaster, but I think
mm,
doesn't she, didn't she wasn't she supposed to get another shot? Because I think it's every time she nat 20s, it just fires again. So when it nat
I
20'd on
no, I
the,
think it's just I think it's just it can only happen
it can only
once
happen once.
because
Okay.
it's like I think it's like a special bolt that's
Oh,
like
okay, gotcha.
yeah.
It would have been cool if it was like a
It
repeating
might be.
effect, like
It might be just a non-stop, like never-ending.
yeah,
Like
that'd be
yeah,
cool. Because how often will that ever happen? Not
yeah.
very.
Um, no, but that was really good. The chaos bolts, is that what they're called? Being
Cataclysm bolts.
completely ineffective on every
Yeah,
use. I think it was like
unfortunately.
the first one she got ice against the cold dragon,
Yep,
and then
against
got some fire
Galadon.
against the fire elementals. But
Not ideal.
oh man. But no, it was a really good fight. I thoroughly enjoyed Caduceus's description of how he destroyed the last elemental of the beetles, just kind of plowing into it.
Yeah.
Um, but we got just quickly Jester and Caleb fixing the collar,
Oh,
which was
yes,
good.
that's right. At long
And he
last.
kind
He's been working on that for a long time.
yeah, and it's very much now. I think he's prepared to go after Trent.
Yeah,
I think he realizes there's probably no other choice. When they're going to do it, I have no idea. They're running out of
they
time for
are.
some Nova.
They are. But
Um,
it definitely
but
feels like Caleb needed what has transpired these past couple episodes to
yeah,
become prepared to face Trent, I think.
absolutely. Um, yeah, because it's been a real kind of kick of
Yeah.
this is happening now, um, and I love the conversation with him and Jester, and then also him with Marion of his uh, proclivity for blaming himself for these
Mm.
things, which there is. I don't want to say there's blame to go around, but like things happened for the whole reason. Like everyone was in that together.
Yeah.
There's no point in pointing blame
Hmm.
and assigning guilt in this situation. It's happened, and it's kind of something you've got to deal with. I think Marion's conversation was great of talking about how like don't let the actions of bad people become your guilt. Like
Yeah.
uh, yeah, because yeah, they made the decision to come to this place, and they made the decision to go to the sanatorium, but it's still the actions of Trent that has forced them, I guess, into this dangerous situation. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's you can talk about it however you like, but I just think that was lovely. That was like a mum talking to a kid,
Yeah.
being like,
It
"Don't,
definitely felt like that.
don't."
And it goes to show how much, Caleb has been able to. Well, I feel like there's still a lot of things he needs to process with everything that's happened these past couple days. But him saying that Caleb doesn't,
Yeah,
deflect or anything, he just listens to what Marion is saying,
yeah,
I think is a good sign that he is now wanting to, handle this in a more healthy and productive manner rather than, dwelling on the darkness, if you will.
yeah, yeah, and it's hard to say. I think it's hard to say whether or not he was holding his tongue because he didn't want to have to explain his guilt,
Mm,
explain all the facets of his guilt. But I feel like because Liam said like, "Oh, that's like this is huge for
yeah.
Caleb," I think it was more that
Hmm.
aspect of, oh no, he's actually kind of taking it to heart a little bit. He's maybe finding some solace in her words,
Mhm.
um, which yeah, that's character growth. That's like
Yeah.
massive if he's because he's been told so many times it's not your fault,
Mhm.
and it's like no, it is. Like I'm not
Yeah.
listening to you, sort of thing.
Mhm.
So this is huge step for old Caleb.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see when Caleb's, story arc progresses more because as we were saying, they're running out of time with
Oh,
Lucian and the Tomb Takers and the Somnovum. So I feel like they really can't be dedicating any more time towards the Trent
yeah,
ordeal. They gotta. I mean, and they weren't really
yeah.
going to like they wanted to get the
No.
amulet so they can be hidden from Lucian, but then everything that happened. Now they have a
But it's
few
a
more
thing that's
issues.
always been said of when we get close to Caleb's backstory, we move away. But now we're
Yeah,
in it, but we're gonna move away.
yeah,
I I don't see them getting to Zadash. Well, like they're in Zadash. I don't see them being there and being like, okay, let's figure out what to do with Trent. I think their next step is going to be quickly wrap up the other preparations they had and then get back to Isocross. Um, I don't think they're going to be like, let's reach out to Astrid and arrange a meeting. Or they might do, I don't know.
hmm
But I don't see that happening, maybe.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
they're
true.
so squeaky.
But speaking of Astrid,
Ooh.
before we get into the revivify of this episode,
Yeah.
let's look at some fan art. Let's take a beat, take a breather from the stress, and let's look at some fan art. As I was saying, speaking of Astrid, my pick for fan art is of Astrid because I think Astrid is fantastic. Let me switch on over here. This beautiful Astrid art was done by @MTArt on Twitter.
Oh,
Oh,
that's lovely.
that is. Oh,
I
just
love
like
that
the
art.
seriousness, like the focus.
Yeah,
That's the Volstrucker stare. Like she looks like a
yeah.
Volstrucker in this
That's a serious German
in
woman
this
right there.
this depiction. But
Woman,
Astrid
sorry.
is someone I'm actively worried about now after what happened, at the end of last episode.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like she's gonna see
Yeah.
some kind of,
Oh my
you know.
gosh. Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but
No, you're
yeah,
good.
because we didn't have confirmation that Trent was in the tower. We were talking about how it might just be Astrid there.
Yeah.
But Matt in the recap was like, Trent's at the tower. Like, oh crap.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the first time the recap has stressed me out more than anything.
Just the
Even
recap already.
yeah, because that is confirmation that like yeah, he's there and she's probably in some trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. She's gonna have a lot of explaining to do, but that's fine. We have more pressing things to worry about. Fine.
Yeah.
It is a-okay. Ah, and
Yeah.
now,
More people are jumping onto the trust Astrid train. I love it.
yes, we must. We must trust Astrid. We must. But now we have, again, the dynamic duo of this episode. This beautiful art by @apricots underscore in underscore dots on Twitter.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
featured their art before on
oh,
this on this
I
channel many
love
times.
Alex so much. Um, they have, and I've shared some of their work as my choice before, and I can't
Hmm.
help it. I try to get a variety, but I always somehow come back to apricots and dots. Um, yeah, they do amazing Caduceus art. They do amazing
Hmm.
Molly arc, and this is just beautiful. I loved it so much. It
Oh,
was so
it's so
quick
good.
too. Um, but definitely go check them out. Their stuff is really cool. They had that really great one of little Caduceus floating in the astral sea and
Oh
multiple
yeah.
people floating cities, being like, "What the
Oh,
fuck?"
that one's
Um,
so good. And that was before we even, I think that was even before we knew that Lucian
yeah,
was a part of all that. So it
yeah,
works. It works. I just
that's
love the dynamic of Caduceus being extremely tall and then a tiny little halfling toddler
yeah,
in Luke. Oh, it's so adorable. So
yeah.
cute.
This is my small friend.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. We need more of Luke and Caduceus.
Absolutely.
And we did. We
And
did
we did.
get more in the sense of revivify.
Not
A
what we meant.
very immediately following the break.
Yeah.
We got the revivify scene, and I was terrified because I was like, okay, yeah, they're just gonna revivify and it's gonna be fine. But then Matt was like, how are you? How are you asking the Wild Mother for aid in this? I was like, oh my god, they're in the elemental plane of fire. Can she even reach here?
Yeah. And there is a role for Revivify, and when Matt rolled, and like he does it so well.
I
But
know.
when he's like not letting on the
Yep.
result,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like often it's going to be like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. He's playing it up because
Yeah.
it's fine. I didn't think it was going to be fine. I thought it
I was
was a
kind of
failed
on that
roll.
too. Yeah.
I um but I found it interesting too, just before the break, Liam was saying that he could revivify as well, like because he's now got that transmuter ability.
Oh.
Um but I think I still like that it was Caduceus that did it because it's
Oh
just
yeah, definitely.
cleric and Claire. Um
Mm-hmm.
uh but no, that was beautiful, asking the Wild Mother for help. And yeah, I was really nervous because I felt like Matt was he was dragging it on. I was like, he's
Yep.
not gonna work out. Like, what's
Yep.
all
Yep.
good?
I remember. I think one of the last times that he had done something like this was with Ford, when Ford needed to be revived after the ambush when they were on
Yeah.
the ball eater.
Did
And
that
he
not
was
work? I've forgotten. That was a year ago.
yes, that it did work. It did work, but he was dragging it out very much like this way, like in this instance. It was
Yeah.
I mean I love that he does it because it keeps us on the edge of our seat, but at the same time it's like,
But
don't do this to us.
unless I'm mistaken, Revivify's never not worked. Right? Even though there's rolls involved. I know like if it's your first one it's lower, but I can't think of any example where it hasn't worked. Or any of the resurrections hasn't worked. Um
I think it came close because I think
I know it's yeah. I think maybe spoilers for campaign one, as always. I think Scandam was kind of close, maybe, or maybe it was Percy. There was
hmm,
one where like the roll was like one off the
oh
DC. Um,
jeez.
Vex maybe.
Hmm.
Now people are saying Vax. Oh my goodness. Oh, Revivify failed once, Scanlan against Raishon. And did they then have to do like a resurrection? That's right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Oh
yeah, and then that led to freaking Scanlan.
yeah, and then that led to a whole thing. Yep,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
is. But then we had the heartfelt, heart wrenching moment between
mm,
the Bernardo family.
yeah, because we had a few. They had kind of two conversations. I had the one right when it happened,
Hmm.
uh, and Luke was like talking to them about it too. Like, what a little champ! Like, he
Yeah.
kind of like taking it on the chin a bit, but then eventually succumbing to his emotions.
Hmm. Oh,
But the chat,
just trying to be
yeah.
brave for his mom. Oh, that was
Yeah,
so
when
cute.
Matt's like he starts crying and it's
Oh,
like I do too. It's like yeah, me too.
oh,
Um, but the conversation they had in the dome I thought was really good because we have talked a lot about Yeza as the most supportive husband in the world.
oh my
Um,
gosh, King.
yeah, and a lot of it too kind of comes into maybe the aspect of Matt wanting to keep like allow the player to stay in the game without having family commitments. Um, but it's really hard now too. I get what Yeza's
Yeah.
saying about, you know, you need to follow this through. Like
Hmm.
him asking Veth, "Do you think you can stop it?" and Veth saying no
Yeah. Yeah, I was like,
was
no, don't say that. Don't say that.
yeah, that was so good.
Yeah.
Um, but then saying like, "Do you think anyone else can do it?" Well, no. Okay, well then you have to try.
Hmm.
Um, that makes sense. It's just then at what point does she stop? Like she's often said, like after this I'm going, but then there's the Cerberus Assembly, then there's the Cobalt Soul business, there's all kinds of other issues.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be it if if she doesn't die, that it's going to be,
Yeah.
we deal with the Somnovan and then she's done. I can't. And I feel very much like that's Veth and Sam trying to push for that. Maybe not wanting to repeat campaign 1 and have a character leave, but it's hard to deny at this point that that's what the character would be feeling. So I feel like there's a little kind of a push there between Beth saying, no, I'm going to stay home, and Yez is like, oh, maybe take a few more weeks, to put it lightly. But yeah, I think this is the closest we've had to her leaving.
Yeah,
Fair
just
enough.
like straight up.
She said, like, I loved her kind of saying she has two families and keeping one safe means the other one's in danger.
Yeah.
And her like admitting, saying like, well, I don't care if it means that they would be less powerful if I could like be keeping you safe. Which, yeah, that's such a strong character trait of hers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But going back to your point of when she said no to can they stop the Somnovum, I feel like that it was something that everyone has been thinking about. The audience, the party members, the players, everyone's been like, man, can we really do this? But it hasn't been, discussed at length. It's like they have a job to do. They have to stop them, or else, shit's gonna go crazy. But they haven't really had the conversation of like, can we actually pull this off reasonably and like survive and stuff? So when Veth was just like, when Yeza said, can you stop them, and Veth says no, it makes their situation that much more terrifying and real. It's like, oh my god.
Because I think before the aim was just to stop Lucian, because if you stop Lucian and stop the city from coming back, then it's as it always has been, like it's just going to be there. But now there's the added stress of Caleb and Bo being afflicted with the eyes. That makes it feel like, no, the city probably has to be destroyed, or connection tethered, connection severed somehow. It's not as simple as just stopping whatever ritual Lucian's going to do from taking place. There's going to be lingering effects. That's the scary part, because stopping Lucian, stopping the ritual, sure, the Mighty Nine could take on the Tomb Takers. I think that would be an excellent fight. Stopping this massive city that they don't know its full effect or nature, that's the scary part. So I think her saying that no, they can't do it was really interesting. I think her saying, like, this is it, I'm done after this, or maybe even before this, if the conversation had gone differently. But I really enjoyed Yeza talking about his disdain for the Cerberus Assembly, and how it fell on him a bit as well, because you got to think too, like, Veth has sacrificed for her family so much. Like, she sacrificed when they escaped from the goblins. She's been away from them. She's taking care of them in that regard. But yeah, then Yeza has also got himself involved with the Cerberus Assembly, completely separate to the Mighty Nine. So anyway, again, it's not the blame game. It's just the, hey, these are the actions that have consequences game.
Yeah, but I loved. Also, welcome, Jester Sketchbook. Thank you for being able to join us live. Thank you. It was funny when Yeza was like, I am just as much to blame as you are, because I got involved with the assembly. I was taken away by the dynasty, and you had to come rescue me and stuff. So I'm as much in this as you are. It was funny seeing then like Laura and I think it was Marisha's like sidebar of like, yeah, this is all Yez's fault. Like, it's Yez's fault that we're here. And I mean, to an extent, Yeza is a very, very big reason why they got involved with the dynasty in the first place, and for
100%.
everything that transpired after that.
Oof.
So
it's all Yez's fault.
It is. What I am saying is Yeza is the reason for everything that's happened so far. But it was interesting seeing this darker side of Yeza being very driven by revenge and wanting
Hmm.
the Cerberus Assembly to pay for it because, for the most part, Yeza is a very, laid back, more or less, individual,
Yeah. I
very
think his
forgiving.
defining, yeah, his defining trait though is concern over his son. So it makes sense that this would be the thing that pushes him to have that potentially more dark moment of like, yeah, we need to get these guys. We need to stop these guys.
Hmm.
Um, I like the idea of maybe them introducing him to the Cobalt Soul, and he could be like a witness or
Oh,
like testify against the
yeah.
Cerberus Assembly or something. I want
I could
courtroom
see that.
arc. Give me the court arc. Give me like
Yep, a
um
whole judicial arc.
yeah.
Oh, yes. That'd be great. Where the party has to serve jury duty for 20 episodes.
Oh wow.
And the whole episode is just like briefings and hearings and stuff. Yep.
Man.
Yep. That'd
um
be good. I'm here for it.
but yeah.
But if there's nothing else to talk about the Bernardo stuff, we can move into what Plane Rider Rin has going on.
Yeah.
That is some
Yeah.
that is some interesting stuff.
So to pre to preface, I guess they saw that there were footsteps heading into the cavern of at least a year old. We still
Yeah,
don't know when this was written. So the
true.
Tal'Dorei guide spoke about Playwright of Rin, and that was 20 years ago. We
Hmm.
don't know we don't have a time frame on any of these notes or any of this conversation that Rin had, or even any kind of time frame on their relationship with Yusa. Like, because Yusa's old and Yusa's been in Nicodranas for a while. So we don't know how long they've had this scroll, this plane shift
That's
scroll.
true.
But the stuff that they read in the diary, and I wrote it down. I wrote it down because I want to discuss it.
Yeah,
So
let's
here's what
hear
it
it.
was. Here's what it said. I'll read in my best reading voice. It might not be exactly 100%. So it
It's
says
fine.
uh, aberrations in the data pertaining to Exandria, cyclical months of long, slow surge in low level magical interference that then recedes just as slowly. Something that tangles my readings and upsets my analysis. It's too faint to identify the arcane nature at source, but I worry if this pertains to the shifting between the veils. What?
I guess hearing it again, do we think? I mean, there's so many different theories. Um, and again, these could just be the ramblings of a crazy person who,
Super ego scientist.
yes, yes. Could it be like an entity or something trying to like testing the barriers and this magical interference is this entity sort of pushing
Yeah.
that boundary at different places and causing this weird interference, or is it more a cosmic thing?
Yeah. So because I think this was specific to cosmic
Mm-hmm.
events, aberration in data pertaining to Exandria, cyclical months, long slow surges in low level magical interference.
What
Cyclical
do we know is
thing
cyclical
of
as people are bringing up the moons,
lunar cycles
lunar cycles. Yep.
pertain to the shifting between the veils.
Does that or do they mean the veils like the veils between realms?
It could be the veil between life and death, like the veil
Oh
of the
yeah.
Raven Queen. It could be
Oh
the Divine Gate veil. It could be.
yeah. It could. I'm wondering because again, let's say these notes are from 20 years ago or
Yeah.
from however long ago. Um. So what Plane Rider Rin is writing about? If they were theorizing some of this stuff all this time ago, this could be happening now. Some
Yeah.
of these theories. And
It
obviously,
could
the
be.
the biggest event that's happening right now is the movements of Tharizdun, and
Yes.
obviously the Somnovum in
Yeah.
the astral sea.
It could be that. It could be this idea of the astral sea slowly gaining influence. Because how long was Vokodo in Rumble Cusp? Was that like
That's a
70. It was a decent chunk, wasn't it?
yeah. It was around the 20 years that
Because there was a
was
really
the
old woman
difference.
there
Yeah.
who was like there at the start, kind of maybe. But we don't know how old these notes are. We don't know how old Plane Rider Rin is. Plane Rider Rin's a tiefling. They can live
Oh,
longer. But ooh, that's a good guess, Andrea. Could be about the current events or could be about Thordak's attempt to escape the fire plane. That's a good one.
hmm.
I like that.
Could explain
I
why
think it might
Plain
be
Matter
big.
Rin
I think
set
it
up
might be
here,
bigger than
maybe.
that because they talk about like aberrations pertaining to all of Exandria. But I still do like that theory. Um, I want to believe it's. You're going to think this is a bit out there for me. I want to believe this pertains to Tharizdun.
I feel
um,
like there is a strong possibility that it is something like that, and because we've also theorized that Ruidus, you know,
yeah,
the not moon, right? Ruidus is the tiny one,
yeah,
right? The red one,
the
um,
egg.
has some kind of a connection, possibly to Tharizdun. Like maybe it's Tharizdun's prison. We don't know.
Yeah,
And obviously the idea of this is a cosmic thing and cyclical stuff, moon phases. It could be something to do with
who's
Ruidus because
prison?
Matt has set up Ruidus to be a player of some kind in this campaign. With
Yeah,
all the
and
different
like
foreshadowing.
because Tharizdun has been imprisoned before the last thing they broke out. That was in Gat Shadow. That was like under the mountain in Taldore.
Hmm.
But the constant repetition of the theory, it was just the theory that Ruidus was potentially a weapon of the betrayer gods.
Hmm.
Um ugh.
It's
Ugh.
it's hard to wrap our
Oh,
minds around it, but
no.
that's why I love like
It's a man on the moon.
I love moments like this where because we talked about this a little bit before stream where we get little tidbits of like lore or like
Yeah.
little hints of possible foreshadowing because obviously Matt's not just going to randomly put this interesting information here and then
Yeah.
not do anything with it. I think he's trying to set up for maybe another story arc that might happen in this campaign. It might pertain to Tharizdun, stuff that might still happen. It might pertain to the Somnovum. Or he could be setting up things for campaign 3, like weird
Yeah.
cosmic events that
Yeah,
happen
because
in campaign 3.
we've often talked about maybe campaign 3 could start after another kind of divergence or after not necessarily divergence but another cataclysm.
Yeah, and that
Or
is also a possibility
and
with
talking
this
about that,
stuff.
yeah, talking about how a lot of these notes talk about potential world shifting
Yeah.
events. Like he brought up the real world theory about like reversing polarity of the poles. Another convergence. That's the word I was thinking of. Thank you, Hooli. Um, uh, or like I mean, look at
Ooh.
who
Yeah.
was it that was trying to bring down the divine gate? Was there someone that was trying to bring down the divine gate recently? I know Vecna was trying to be on this side of the divine gate. That was his whole deal. But was someone trying to break the divine gate? Am I misremembering
Probably.
that?
Probably Tharizdun, I would imagine.
Probably maybe, yeah. Or any of the betrayer gods probably would be.
Yeah.
Oh, unless it was, yeah, I don't know. That was soon. Yeah, man.
Yeah, speaking of Hooli saying virgins and stuff, that would
Mhm.
definitely make sense considering the mention of like the veils, sort of becoming thinner.
Mhm.
Definitely sounds like converging points to me.
Yeah.
But what is converging? Like what veil? Like what are we talking about
And
here?
they didn't take any of the books. They
Yeah.
didn't take
Well, no,
any.
I think Jester said she took the
They
notebook.
took that one,
That
yeah, but
one.
they
Nothing else. So hopefully
yeah, they've
there's
got the name. They've got the name, and they know Allura, and Allura
yes.
would know Rin.
Yeah.
So, best comes to best, they return the stuff and like, oh, we heard about this other weird thing. Like, have you heard of this person? Oh yes, let me bring them over for tea.
Mhm.
Give us all the answers, please.
Yeah.
If they're still alive. I mean, it's been
Mhm.
20 years since Taldori. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it
Um,
definitely, because again, I've been, preaching since, what the sheet's inception, that I feel like this campaign is shaping up for there to be another calamity type event, and it feels like Matt is trying to maybe not set that up, but you know,
lay the groundwork.
laying the groundwork for something
Yeah,
like that to potentially happen.
yeah.
So I'm excited. I loved learning about all this stuff.
That's
That was in
gotta
the
be
notebook.
man. That's gotta be so tricky for him as a DM because I think they are talking about a campaign 3, whether or not they have a bit of a break between it or not. They're the rumblings of campaign 3 are getting more and more concrete. I think we're going to still
Hmm.
get a campaign 3 definitely, um, but you got to think like back at the end of campaign 1, he was preparing for campaign 2 before Vecna was defeated, so
Yeah.
he had to have had plans in place for like, well, what is campaign 2 going to look like if Vecna is around?
Hmm.
That's going to be so hard to plan for. He must be thinking the same now with campaign 3, like, well, what's it going to look like if the Somnovan are back? What's it going to look like if Ruidus cracks his beautiful egg open and Tharizdun falls out? You know,
Yeah, that's true. And depending on what this convergence, I guess, may be, Andrea brought up the Legend of Korra, and that immediately makes me think of the Legend of Korra in the sense that the spirit realm and
oh,
the main realm, whatever you want to call it, are now together. You can freely move between the two. So I'm wondering if maybe it wouldn't be some devastating, cataclysmic, event, but it is just, that maybe the divine gate gets broken and now, celestial entities and humans can now freely move
yeah,
between the
so good.
realms.
Demons, devils, and fiends,
Yes. Yeah,
and betrayer gods.
true. That is true.
That would mean like Zahir would be back in the world and could support Uk'otoa. Although I think then maybe that relationship's not the strongest. But like we've still got Uk'otoa to worry about to some extent.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, man, I don't know. It's a thing. Like Uk'otoa being released in the world is bad as well.
Yeah.
But oh, imagine if campaign 3 is like World of Monsters, where it's like all
Ooh.
these massive entities have been released.
I mean, we could potentially see that
That's
happening,
cool.
depending on what
That's cool. I
happens.
pain. Oh my gosh.
I really do want to see a new calamity or a new, cosmic event that happens that
Yeah,
just totally. But then that's also going to be something that he has to delicately handle because he's built up, this world of Exandria,
yeah.
um, very
I
well,
want to
and having
see
a
it. Yeah,
huge change like that would be a difficult thing to have happen, and to make sure everything is, set right, because that would change everything. It would literally change everything. It'd be a new
yeah,
age. So
yeah. Oof.
that
Oof.
would that would sort of be a reason why there wouldn't be a calamity, is because it would change way too much. It'd be too big of a
Yeah,
leap.
yeah. Cool cat. I was just going to bring that up. It's basically like him destroying Imon, um, like in
Hmm.
campaign 1, where he's just like, "Yeah, this is my city, and now I'm throwing dragons at it."
Yeah.
Um, Could be like that. I don't know. I trust whatever they
Oh
do.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to see, and I'm excited for campaign 3 because I love early campaign stuff. But still got to worry about our babies, the Mighty Nine, for a little longer. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh.
Yeah. They still have
But
so much they
yeah,
need to do.
let's talk about something happy again. Um,
Yeah.
so they got out of the fire plane
They
just in
did.
time.
Oh,
Um,
that was so good.
Marisha's um simile of like it's like a
A Slurpee being thrown out the window.
Slurpee. Yeah,
Oh my god.
let's call it Slurpee. Yeah, it's like a slurp. Yeah, that's too good.
That
That
was
imagery
so
is
funny.
too accurate. um,
Oh
but
my
yeah, we got
goodness.
Choose the Dash. Man, I love
We
the Dash. I'm
did.
so excited.
Jester has successfully parent trapped her parents.
oh my god, I can't believe it's happened. And even though it's in the most dire of circumstances,
I know.
the fact that it has happened, like it has happened
Yeah.
as a result of the end of the episode.
Yep. We are here.
Uh,
Finally.
his reaction when she messaged him, like that kind of sets the tone, I think, for what it's going to be like. Because we've always had the gentleman as very cool, calm, collected. He lowered his guard a lot when talking to Jester, and we got to
Yeah.
see a more kind of sensitive, like emotional, empathetic side of him there. But him being completely caught off guard by her message
Yeah.
is exciting to see.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Matt roleplay with himself for like half an hour,
Oh my
honestly.
gosh, it's gonna be so good. I can't. That's what I'm most excited for. Is
Yeah,
Matt role playing with himself.
yeah,
But
at
then it's
night.
clear that the gentleman cares because he was scrambling to make the place look presentable, which is kind of adorable.
Yeah, that's a real kind of like, oh, like
Yeah.
you did all this. But I wrote down in my notes in like big exclamation marks, boyfriend Ford, because that's something I've been waiting for so long. I love the idea of like Ford. I've talked about how on like a meet the parents kind of
Oh
dinner
yeah.
date with
Hmm.
Jester and Marion and Ford, but I loved it so much, him taking care of Marion in this scene.
Hmm.
Um, and
It
like,
was definitely
just being,
heartwarming. But then Jester,
yeah, don't
don't
flirt.
flirt with him.
Yeah, which just a what? Like, yeah, his
Yeah.
confusion at that was great. But Ford he is a gentleman. Like
Yeah.
he's a really kind, chivalrous person. So that was just nice to see him kind of take care of Marion and yeah. I
And like
love
whenever Ford
Margaret.
enters this like protective, like the
Yeah,
charming protective nature that is Ford, I'm always like,
yeah.
oh, like protect
Like a
me,
knight in
Ford,
shining armor. Yeah.
please.
No, it was really nice. I like that a lot. I'm hoping there's more of that potentially with the gentleman finding out that they're dating. Like that sounds stupid. That sounds really kind of outdated and
Yeah.
like, oh, the dad's going to be like, not my daughter. But
Yeah.
it's a trope and it's a fun trope
Yeah.
sometimes. So I'm kind of excited to maybe see if that would actually
Hmm.
play out. Yeah, but no, I'm super excited to hopefully start next episode with a real light tone, even though it's going to be like, yeah, we're here. Here's why we're here.
Yeah, I can. While we will probably have like a nice calm beat for
Yeah,
at least the first part of next episode. They're still very much on a time crunch, so it'll be like,
yeah,
hey, we're just gonna drop off the family and then we gotta go.
yeah,
Like maybe they'll stay the night, but even then, they might just, like I said, they might just say their highs and say their goodbyes because they gotta go.
yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of people in chat talking about it. I wanted to ask you. They've made some like decisions. Some decisions
Hmm.
have been made the past couple of episodes. Uh, do you think they're going to go visit Pumat Soul?
I I mean, I'm always wanting to see more Puma Soul. However,
I, I
I
feel
feel
like
like they
you're
are too pressed for time.
not even that. I think it's just a bad idea
Also a bad
for
idea.
a Cerberus assembly member. Like,
True.
I think we're going to
There might be like
start.
a bulletin out for the Mighty Nine.
Yeah, on his like in the war, like look at
Yeah.
these people. Yeah, I think that would be a terrible idea, but I would love them to go see him. I'm terrified, like if he's been caught up with his like association with them, maybe.
Hmm.
Again, he works with Ahmed Haas, who we're tentatively saying is an alright guy.
Hmm.
Um,
He did fight with them, Puma Soul.
he did fight with them, yeah. Uh, oof, 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 oof. But you kind of can't not go to Pumat Souls. Like
I know,
it's
like they're in Zadash. They're
yeah,
there. And Puma Soul's there.
yeah.
Oh.
They got money. They might be able to sell the Ring of Fire resistance there.
Oh,
Like
true. That is true. I didn't think of that.
man,
But yeah, you have to assume that the assembly is reaching out to all of their annexes and being like, hey,
keep an eye out.
keep an eye
Well,
out.
but we don't know that because we don't know how much Trent has let on
That
yet.
is also true. We don't even know if he's had that conversation with Ludinus yet.
It's only been a day.
Yeah.
Not even. Like they got there early morning, and Zadash, they attacked the sanatorium like in the afternoon, like after midday.
Yeah, it hasn't even. Yeah,
Not
it
even
hasn't
been
been a
24
full.
hours. Oh wait. Oh, it's weird. We don't know. Time zone's weird. Maybe the time zone in the elemental plane of fire is different. We don't know.
Ah, true.
But I don't think it's been a day yet. A full day. So yeah, we don't know what could have happened.
Gosh.
Wibbly wobbly time remind me. There we go. That's the answer
Yeah,
to that question.
that's kind of what's going on, especially with all of this funky business in the Happy Fun Ball.
Yeah.
But thank goodness we at least get to start next episode on a more positive note. We'll have a chance to actually breathe at the start. But then what do they do next? Are they? I think they had talked about going to the dynasty to see the Bright Queen.
They've talked about that. They also said just at the end of the episode, like next stop is his house, and they were talking about Caduceus. So I don't know if they still plan to go to the Blooming Grove. I'm not sure why. I'm not clear on that, like why it's important to go there. I know we had the vision, but I thought they kind of came to the conclusion that that was more premonition than like something that was actually happening. So I think they might go there and then to the dynasty and then back to Essex, but they can't. How many times can Caleb teleport in a day?
Like
Apart from teleportation
twice,
circle.
I would
So he could
think.
teleport to the Grove, teleportation circle to Jorhas, or to the
Oh, only
I can't remember
once.
Citadel,
That
and
is
then teleport back to Essex. So they could do it in a day, but then he's out like his high level spells. Dynasty bad idea.
that is a good point, Noel.
Yeah.
Because Essek had mentioned that the dynasty are doing their own investigations into
Yeah.
stuff, and I can imagine the Mighty Nine are a suspect in that as well, or maybe not a suspect, but they would be like witnesses or people to question about stuff that happened. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they might
I'm
skip the
not sure at
dynasty.
this point what the dynasty could do for them.
Yeah, I maybe just because the Bright Queen's been around for
Yeah,
ever.
that's it. That's it. They want to know what she knew about the city,
Yeah,
maybe.
got some more. But then since Matt kind of
And
debunked their theories about the Luxon being connected, because I think that was the main reason why they wanted to go in the first place.
she's been around for a while, but the drows of Jorhas are ones that came from underground. They came from the Underdark. So she might not be familiar with the world, the exterior world before the divergence.
Oh yeah,
She might
that's
be
true.
familiar, but she might not have first-hand experience of it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a good
I'm
point.
sure they'll talk about it.
Yeah, so I don't think they really need to go to the dynasty. I guess
Yeah.
now thinking
I'm
about it
seeing
a
a lot
bit
of people
more.
are giving really good reasons of why they're going to see Caduceus' family. That's good, yeah.
Mm.
So I'm on board with that. But man,
But I feel like visiting Caduceus' family, it's going to be more just like a hey, just making sure everything's all right, and then piecing
yeah,
out. Unless Matt is setting something up, um, for the Blooming
yeah,
Grove, like something goes down when they arrive.
yeah.
But I feel like adding anything else to their trough of shit they have to do right now is gonna be
Oh,
you know
yeah.
they already have so much on their plate. Adding something else with the Blooming Grove is just gonna feel like overwhelming.
You say that, but like 3 episodes ago, it was like Isocross, Isocross, Isocross,
Yeah,
and like
true.
since then we've had like heist, Happy Fun Ball, Plane of Fire, like our first plane shift, kind of in this regard.
Yeah,
Zadash, Nicodranas. I feel like literally we could be 10 episodes away from them getting back to Isocross, and there'll be like 2 mini arcs in that time span.
mm-hmm.
Like, man.
Not.
I still need to go back and find the What the Sheet episode where we talked about how long we thought the campaign was going to go on for.
Oh yeah.
I think Phil was in that episode, so we might be able to find it there.
Yes. And I
Because I
think
think I said I think I said like episode 150, maybe. I don't know. Are there any
Yeah, I was thinking
what
like
sheets here?
170-ish.
Yeah.
170, 180, I was thinking.
Need to try and find that because I wanna. I think I wrote it down too somewhere and then put it away for
Mhm.
safekeeping and completely forgot where that was.
I think we kind of also came to the general consensus that it's probably ending this year. Maybe, depending on, if they have to go on a break again or what
It is
happens. But
March, so
yeah,
they do have
it's true.
a few months. Do we know if they're going to have a break over Easter?
I don't know if they have in the past, but I could imagine that a break is probably coming up because they've gone a little bit without having one
They
so
might.
far.
It might not be specifically for Easter, but they have
Yeah.
sometimes taken a week off. I know because it always matches up with my holidays, and it's like, yeah, I can watch
Mm,
live. They're like, we're taking a break. I'm like,
yeah.
fuck. Uh,
Yeah, I could see them having
yeah.
like a spring break
Oh,
coming
is
up.
that
Yeah.
around spring break for you guys?
Yeah, that's around spring.
Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering
Yeah,
because
I could see it.
we'll probably get a cliffhanger or something.
Yeah, I mean, every episode is shaping up to end on a cliffhanger, and we have had some cliffhangers these past several episodes. It definitely doesn't do any favors for my heart and my anxiety. I'm sure many of you can relate.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No fun.
What
But
an episode.
anyways, do we have any other? Oh gosh, do we have any other closing thoughts, feelings, emotions, theories, questions, concerns about this episode? There was a lot. This is a heavy episode at parts. But again, as I was saying, it's safe to assume that we're going to have a nice calm beat at the beginning of next episode to look
Yeah.
forward to. The parent trap we've all been waiting for. We get to see Matthew Mercer flirt with himself, or hopefully, well, as long as they'll let us.
She freaking did it. She finally
He
did
did
it.
it.
It's like her main goal since the
Yep.
start of the campaign: find her dad and get them back together.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
that's really,
And
really.
I guess we do. Yeah, as Delta's saying, we do have to worry about the dreams. The dreams coming back. I feel like they're
Damn
due
it,
for a
Delta.
dream. They're due for a dream. Another eye. Their third one, I believe this would be. Oh.
Unless they start picking up and they get more.
Unless, yeah, and it's four, and oh no. Oh yeah, Huli's saying, I wonder if Caleb and Bo are out of sync now. Because Caleb got his long rest while
I
Bo hasn't.
I don't think there would be. I think they're probably linked
Hmm.
in that regard.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But it's going to be a hard day for you. Got to think it's going to be a hard day for Ford, Yasha, and Bo because they've gone from the sanatorium day. They've not slept since the start
Yeah,
of the heist day.
that's true.
Um,
But they also haven't
wow.
technically been awake as long as the rest of the party, which is weird.
Oh wow, yeah, time.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
technically their day is still continuing at the same amount of hours
it's like they got up
that
a
it would
few
have been
hours
anyways.
earlier.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Oh, it's just so weird. It's so weird. Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about the message that Jester sent to
that's
Ford in the Happy Fun Ball. That was I was watching that when I was subbing for a world history class today. And it got to that part and I had to do everything in my power to not laugh out loud because that was
yeah,
so funny to me. And then like the slow motion relay of Ford's
yeah.
response. Oh my god, I
And
was
her
dying.
realization like they're being tortured.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my
That's
god.
yeah, that was
Oh, I
pretty
loved that. Loved it. I loved
yeah.
it. Ooh, cool guy says if the eyes offered Caleb power to take down Trent, what do you think he would do?
I think you take it.
I think he would take it too.
I think you take it
Yep,
100%.
yep,
I
yep,
think
yep,
he's
yep, yep,
kind
yep.
of, even though we talked about him maybe not necessarily feeling 100% responsible for what happened this episode, he definitely doesn't like that it happened and he does have some guilt associated with it. So I think this
Yeah.
is like something he's got to fix. Like last episode, he was talking about how they're an empire family. We've got to keep you together. And then
Yeah.
this episode, we see like them literally being burnt and dying. So it's
Yeah.
trust that
It's
none of that is lost on anyone.
it's yeah, and it's terrifying because as is tradition in all, facets of storytelling, power always comes with a price. And so while Caleb, I think in the moment would be like, yes, give me this power so I can defeat Trent, what comes afterwards, the price he then has to pay for that power, is what I'm scared of.
Mm.
All I'm hoping for is we get Darkside Caleb. We get a Darkside Caleb arc. That's what I want.
Yeah, Liam's got to not make any more deals in D&D. It's too sad in the first campaign. I can't do it again.
Oh gosh, my internet is hitting a spike.
Uh-oh.
It's hitting a lag spike. Uh-oh. I'm at 0. At 0 kilobytes. I think the stream died.
Oh, no,
are we back? Are we back? I think that's a sign. Oh, it keeps going to 0.
Oh god.
Oh my god, now it shot up. Oh gosh.
Let's wrap this up. Let's
it's
go.
Balancing out. Yeah, we gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap it up. My internet is dying. My internet's dying. The viewers are experiencing buffering. So hopefully we'll see. Looks like chat maybe isn't catching up. But anyways, I will do my best to wrap this up. So yeah, I think we hit all the points this episode. So I guess we'll go ahead and I'll try to wrap this up. Hopefully chat is still here. Hopefully everyone's still here.
Looks like it's good.
It does look like it's good. So anyways, I guess with all that being said, we can go ahead and call this one a wrap. As always, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. This was a hefty episode. This was a big one. I hope everyone is processing it and handling it well, and recovering after the traumatic experience that we all experienced this episode.
Yeah.
No. Oh my goodness, Andrea with the $20. Thank you so much.
Oh my god.
Thank you so much. You are amazing, Andrea. You are the amazing one here. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you. Oh wow, it looks like chat is super delayed after all that stuff. But that's fine. I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our wonderful expositors in chat. All of the members that I have. Huge shout out to Andrea, Scully Gully, Elliot Blau, Robert Overcast, Delta Blaze, Nice, Dungeon Masters Den, Sid, Mac Isaac, Dangerous Wonder, Knight Halser, Sue Do Nim, Amanda Goodwin, Aveline Melody Stark, and I believe that are all of the expositors. Thank you all so much. Thank you to our first members of the channel. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you everyone who joined us in chat. Thank you, Sketchers Jestbook, for finally being able to watch this live. You create such amazing videos for the community. So keep being awesome. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us in chat. Thank you all so much to everyone who's going to be watching this on YouTube or Spotify or on Anchor or wherever this podcast may find itself to you. No Hit Dice Heroes this weekend, correct?
No. Next weekend we will be back with our fighting pit, which will be really exciting.
Yes.
So check out Hit Dice Heroes. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll see when we're streaming next and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Hope to see you all there. And so, with all that being said, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. Remember to always love yourself and love each other as we do as well. And we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.